Welcome back to Living with Pilonidal Cyst Disease. If you're new here, my name is Ashley, and I started this podcast to share my personal experience living with pilonidal cyst disease. I want to say this right at the beginning. I am not a doctor or a medical professional, and everything I share on this podcast is based entirely on my own lived experience. If you're looking for medical advice, please speak with a healthcare professional. I originally started this podcast after seeing a Facebook post about pilonidal cyst disease because honestly, nobody talks about it. And once I shared my story, I had people reach out asking if I could turn this into a series so they could follow along, hear different perspectives, and feel less alone. And with that being said, welcome to episode 5. These episodes keep getting harder and harder to record because I'm digging up parts of my life that I shoved down for a long time. Parts I didn't want to sit with, parts I didn't want to admit hurt as much as they did. But this one matters because this episode is where I finally had to face something I didn't want to face. I did not wake up one day wanting surgery. I honestly didn't want surgery at all. After my very first flare up and lancing and draining, I genuinely believed it was a one and done situation. I thought, okay, that was awful, but it's over now. I never thought it would come back. I didn't want it to come back, but it did, and then it came back again. By the time I was sitting in the surgeon's office after my second flare up, I was already exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. And that's when I was given options. The first option was what they call a vacuum pack surgery. They would remove the pits, clean everything out, and then attach a wound vac, something you carry around while it suctions out fluid. You have to lay on your stomach, you can't lay on your back, you couldn't lay on your side. Recovery was months. I'm talking weeks of restrictions, months of healing, and 12 weeks basically living on your stomach. The second option was an open wound procedure. They remove what they can and leave it open, pack it and unpack it and repack it over and over. The success rate for both options weren't very high. I don't remember the exact numbers. I just remember sitting there thinking, this doesn't feel promising. It felt like defeat. It felt like being told, here are two hard things, pick one, but just so you know, neither one guarantees this will end. And I remember thinking, what's the point then? If I don't fix this, this is going to be my life forever. But if I do fix this and it comes back anyway, this is still going to be my life forever. And this was my mindset at 16. I had already had multiple surgeries before this, ears, eyes, teeth, so anesthesia didn't scare me. Being cut open did, especially in a place that felt humiliating to even talk about. I hated telling people I had a cyst on my butt. I felt dirty saying it, and I'm not a dirty person. I've always had proper hygiene. I take care of myself, but something about the location made me feel embarrassed, like it was something shameful. And now I had to decide whether or not to let someone surgically alter that part of my body. I didn't feel like I should have to make that choice. I didn't feel like this should have been my reality. So instead of feeling empowered, I grieved. I grieved my body before this disease. I grieved the idea that maybe I would just always have to manage this. And I grieved the possibility that I would never fully trust my body again. And for a while, I decided not to do surgery at all. Then, one day, my mom found something in the Pilonidal Facebook group, something called the cleft lift. I had never heard of it. She told me about it and I immediately said no, absolutely not, there is no way. The idea of cutting a flap of skin, reshaping the area, altering my body permanently, that terrified me. I couldn't get past what it would look like. I kept looking up photos, trying to mentally prepare myself, and I was obsessed with understanding how different my body would be after. It felt invasive, it felt extreme, it felt like crossing a line I wasn't ready to cross. But then I had my third flare up, and something in me shifted. I remember thinking, if I don't get ahead of this, this will control my life every year, every plan, every season. So we started emailing with a surgeon in Wisconsin, someone who was talked about constantly in Facebook groups, success story after success story, but even then, the 2% stuck in my head. A 98% success rate sounds incredible, but all I could think was, what if I'm the 2%? Because by then, I had already convinced myself that bad things just kept happening to me. So why would this be different? We scheduled surgery for early 2020 and then COVID hit. Borders closed. I'm from Canada, so we couldn't cross into the US. Surgery was canceled. And here's the strangest part. After my third flare up in November of 2019, I didn't have another one. So I told my mom, "We're not going, I'm fine, it hasn't come back." I convinced myself maybe it was over, until September 2022. I started in-person college classes, 3 hours long, sitting in the same chair. And an hour and a half into the first class, I was in so much pain. Not flare-up pain, but pressure. Deep, uncomfortable scar tissue pressure. The kind that makes you hyper-aware of your body. And I remember thinking, I cannot do this 5 days a week. And that was the moment. Not a flare-up, not an emergency, just the realization that I was still living around this. So we emailed the surgeon again. And when he said he could get me in within weeks, I was shocked. As a Canadian, you wait months or years to see specialists, months or years for surgery dates, so hearing November 30th felt fast, too fast. The waiting period didn't really hit me at first. I knew it was coming, but it didn't feel real. Until we were driving there. That's when the anxiety crept in. What if I get a flare up right before surgery? Gets infected and what if it gets infected and they cancel now? What if they say it's too complicated? What if I go through with this and it doesn't work? That drive from southwestern Ontario to Wisconsin felt long in a different way, not physically, but mentally. And I didn't really sleep the night before. I wasn't scared of anesthesia, and I honestly wasn't even scared of pain. I was scared of hope. I was scared of letting myself believe this might fix it and then being wrong. Because if this didn't work, I didn't know how I would emotionally recover from that. This episode isn't about the surgery itself. That's next. This episode is about the weight of deciding, the grief of admitting something isn't going away on its own, the fear of choosing something permanent, the exhaustion of living in a maybe it'll stop for years. If you are in this place right now, stuck between maybe I can manage this and maybe I need to fix this, I understand you. It's not dramatic to be scared, it's not weak to hesitate, and it's not wrong to grieve the fact that you even have to make this decision. If you've had surgery, if you're considering it, if you're terrified, if you're avoiding it, I would love to hear from you. Message me, comment, share your experience, ask your questions, tell me what you're afraid of. Because the decision phase, that's where so many people struggle silently. In the next episode, we'll talk about the actual surgery day, and I promise we're going fully into it. Thank you for listening, thank you for trusting me, and thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.